guys, I'm Rich. Welcome to Rich with Cars. Today I'm going to bring you something very special, a rare unicorn that you don't get to see that often on the roads. I bring you 2018 BMW M760i XDrive. This is sort of like the supposed M7 because it has a beautiful engine under the hood, a twin turbo V12. If you guys want to know a little bit more about it, I'll go over this with you guys with a bit of a exterior interior cargo volume, and then of course the engine, and of course as always I'll give you guys my driving impression. So strap in, let's take a look. So why do I think that the 760i is a bargain V12 for you to consider? First and foremost, it's because internal combustion engines right now are about to go away with electrification and hybridization, and even more so when you have a V12. The V12 under this hood is the same V12 that is actually shared with many Rolls-Royce vehicles. It's typical BMW design. The headlights and everything in the front except for the lower portion of the front grille is a little bit different for the 760. This infrared camera fitted right into the front grille, and this allows you to see heat signatures at night. So it's basically for the night vision, but it actually uses an infrared heat signature to be able to detect any sort of moving people, animals, whatever it is. So you won't get a much difference on a 760 except for a few little items that if you are an enthusiast, you'll be able to notice that. One thing, for example, are these wheels that make it very special. I love these 5-spoke wheels. They're a split 5-spoke, and I love how they're designed. And then of course you have the M badging on the front fender. Then you also have a little bit of change in color on the side view mirrors, the accenting here along the side, which is sort of like a brushed gunmetal look. And then best of all is the V12 badge right there on the C-pillar. Other notable features on the 760, one of course is the badging, as you will see, and then the quad tailpipes. That's one very notable feature of the 760, knowing that you have a V12 under the hood. And let's not forget, this is an all-wheel drive XDrive BMW. So all that power will be transferred onto the ground. So you'll be able to launch this thing with no problems. In fact, it does do 0 to 60 in a BMW claimed 3.5 seconds. Something else that's really cool on this 760i is the fact that the doors don't have that typical 3-level stop, if you want to call it. It's got a hydraulic system that allows you to stop it at any level. If I want to leave it there, it stops there. If I want to leave it there, it'll just stop there. Super cool feature that I've seen also in other luxury German sedans like the Porsches, for example, like the Panamera. Very nice to have this over here as well. So for the interior, we'll see, common BMW 7 Series items, except for a few little things like this V12 side sill. You have some more V12 badging here in the middle console. Everything else is common 7 Series items. Looking at the seats over here, I drove this car for a little bit of time and it is very comfortable. I can only imagine how comfortable this would be for long drives. It does have a lot, and I mean a lot, of adjustability. I think it's 18-way power. I could be wrong, but I believe it's 18-way power. Your Bowers & Wilkins sound system over here with your door cards having your window controls, side view mirror controls, and then your memory seating as well. And then finally your trunk release switch over there. You won't get much of a difference compared to a regular 750, for example, but like I said before, this is a bargain vehicle that you can get with a V12. It does have the Bowers & Wilkins system, and then you have your regular 7 Series comfort items that run along in the middle over here. You have a whole bunch of different controls, as well as your iDrive for this particular generation, which is a 2018. This gauge cluster is very similar to the one in the M5 or the 5 Series or even the 7 Series. Of course, you do have a few differences in there. Something I didn't notice was this analog clock while I was driving. I don't have that in the 5 Series or the M5. And then, of course, let's not forget this M760i. Now, I'm not sure if these controls for the temperature for each side are just on the 760. I believe it's also on other 7 series, but you can actually control the different levels of temperature. The middle console over here with a little bit of space. One cool thing that I didn't know is that you do have a wireless charger over there and a USB-A plug over here as well. And then you have additional storage area with a couple of cup holders, a little change or ashtray area here, and then an additional USB-A plug over there as well. So I'm here in the rear seating area of the 760. This is a very executive. You have a lot of space. The seat here in the front is adjusted to my height. I'm 6'1", and just look how much space I have. You have an easy 4.5 to 5 inches of space of knee room between your knee and the front seat. You have some additional stuff over here, like a little ashtray, additional controls over here for your windows, sunshade, the vanity mirrors. It feels extremely luxurious over here. The coolest thing of all is that you have sort of like a little iPad that presents itself. Really cool item that allows you to control a bunch of different items from the back. And then look at this cool little feature. As soon as you drop it in, it locks into place. Some additional seating controls over here. So recline, seat cooling, seat heating. You have a whole bunch of different stuff. Additional storage here. Climate controls for your 4-zone climate. So there's only 2 items in this car that it doesn't have, which is the rear entertainment package and I think the rear executive package, which is basically an entire panel here that separates the 2 seats in the rear, which I think is less convenient because at that point you'd only be able to seat 4 adults. You have the cup holders as well. A lot of different features and luxury that you can take advantage of, and to have a rear sunroof area. This light panel over here that I believe probably lights up at night, it gives it sort of a more estately feel here in the rear. And for, I would say, around $60,000, it's definitely worth it. Of course, it's gonna be a little bit expensive to maintain because you do have that V12 under the hood, but nevertheless, definitely a bargain. Something else that you get with a 760i is this massive key with a screen on it, and basically it gives you the ability to do a multitude of things like move the car, which I'll show you guys. So we're just gonna move the car through this special key that you get with a 760. So that'll allow you to move the car out of a parking spot, a tight parking spot, and allow you to get into the car. Now, I don't know who would want to do that or want to park so close to another car when you have such a nice vehicle. But very cool feature though. And you know, precondition the interior of the car, gives you the range, the lighting as well, shows you if the windows and the door locks are unlocked or if the windows are closed. So there's a bunch of different stuff which is really cool. Now of course, you know, nowadays all this stuff can be done through cell phone apps, so but still to see this, very cool, and you get that with the 760i. In terms of cargo volume, you have quite a bit of cargo. I would say that it falls a little short of what you'd expect maybe from flagship sedan, but nevertheless it does have quite a bit of space with a pass-through right there in the middle. I'll show you guys the numbers right now, what the cargo volume here is in the rear. Pretty solid though. This, my friends, is the primary reason why you'd go for a 760i or M760i, is because, well, I'm sorry, but all this is covered by gorgeous plastic. Under this plastic, we have a twin turbo V12 engine made by BMW that is also used by Rolls-Royce. The amount of power that you get is unbelievable. It's never ending, and it's basically easy power. You have quite a bit of power right across the entire rev range, and at the same time it's very comfortable, and it provides the amount of passing power on the highway that you need. From a fuel efficiency perspective, we are talking about a twin turbo V12, so you're not gonna get great numbers, but it's still pretty good. I'll show you guys the numbers on the screen right now. It is pretty efficient on the highway, but then when you get to the city, it's not that great. Combined, it's passable. You have basically the same engine that you see under Rolls-Royce hoods like the Ghost, the Wraith. You have it here in the BMW. You basically get the same type of luxury feel from the engine in a BMW 760 that you do in a Rolls-Royce. Let's not forget, Rolls-Royce actually does get their engines from BMW because it is owned by BMW. I'll show you guys some additional numbers on the screen, including performance numbers. So, driving the 2018 760i. So it's my first time driving a V12 BMW, and I can tell you guys it's absolute pleasure. I haven't been able to compare this to the twin turbo V8 7 Series of the same era, but I can tell you one thing though. Driving this car is like driving on a magic carpet with a freight train attached to it. There's endless power. I drove this car on the highway and like it just keeps on pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. Listen to how this V12 sounds. It doesn't sound like a Ferrari, of course, or even like an Aston Martin, but for a luxury saloon, I mean, it's pretty damn nice. So you get a bit of a nice rumble when you're driving it. The one thing I didn't even know that this car had, but I discovered because I noticed something odd, was the fact that it does have active stabilization. So when you're taking corners, and you're taking a corner pretty fast, the suspension will basically keep the car stable and at an even sort of like balance. So there's not going to be any body roll or anything, especially when you put it in sport. The other thing also that I noticed is that on the drive modes, between let's say comfort and the sport, there is a very noticeable difference in the throttle response and in the suspension primarily. The steering a little bit, but the most notable things that you'll notice are mostly on the suspension and on the throttle response. First and foremost, it's a comfortable saloon. It does its job extremely well. And then on top of that, you have a twin turbo V12 under the hood that is also shared with the Rolls-Royce lineup, and it just delivers power that just never ends all the way through. So ultimately, from a steering perspective, I'd say that the car is like what it's supposed to be, more of a luxury. It doesn't give you much communication to the road, but generally it's quite nice. And like I said before, the suspension generally is very comfortable. Even on sport mode, it's not that rough, but it's noticeable that it's rougher than it would be on comfort mode. Aside from that, I say that it's an extremely pleasant experience driving this car, and especially on the highway. It has unsurmountable amounts of power, very easy to pass or overtake other cars. It's just an honest pleasure to drive. So I hope you enjoyed this quick review on the M760i. I hope I give you a good idea as to why I believe this is an amazing bargain. First and foremost, you have a 7 Series with a twin turbo V12. That alone is reason enough for you to consider this vehicle. And of course, you get the luxury of a 7 Series with the same engine that you'd get in a Rolls-Royce, because of course BMW does manufacture these engines for Rolls-Royce. So having a twin turbo V12 nowadays, super rare, and you won't get that opportunity that often anymore. As always guys, thank you so much for all the views, all the support. Stay tuned for more car related content, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.